Night Teeth was all over the place, and I'm assuming it wasn't made for me. If you're not familiar with this movie, please consider this your spoiler warning, because I will be talking spoilerish-ish. And now let's get to the review. So, I watched this movie the whole way through, even though 45 minutes into it, I felt like giving up, but I'm not a quitter, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if this movie turns it around. And I'm not gonna lie, there was instances towards the middle and the end where it kind of sparked my interest, but then it divulged to the horribleness that it was. Now, this movie is definitely a generation-based movie, meaning if you're over the age of 35, you will hate it. If you're under the age of 35, you will love it. And it's just that simple. So we're basically having a Blade wannabe movie where in our days, and I sound so old when saying that, Jesus Christ. In our days, when Blade came out, you had the techno music and the raves, and it was like these cool vampires. Well, they tried to reimagine this. And mind you, I do like that concept, right? Because I love Blade. The part that was stupid for me was why Boyle Heights. I lived in Boyle Heights for all my younger life, from the age of born to all the way to 18, 19 years old. There is nothing special about Boyle Heights. Now, I get it, the culture, the Latin culture, but it does really little to address that. It kind of just gives us the architecture of what's Boyle Heights with the tagging, the murals, which is beautiful. I like that. But why Boyle Heights and why the importance of Boyle Heights was just dumb. And again, take it from someone. I lived there all my life. It's getting better, but it's still 61% of Boyle Heights is in extreme poverty. That's not something to be glorified. So I'm convinced that Netflix knows that there's a big portion of that community, or in just East Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, whatever, just that area codes that are encompassing of Boyle Heights have a huge Netflix presence where they were like, hey, let's do some representation and give them a bone and be like, oh my God, we live here. Oh, look at dope. And then kind of grab that way, because again, I didn't understand why Boyle Heights became such an importance, and it just became so dumb. And we're basically these vampires are gonna overthrow these other vampires because there's a treaty between the humans and the vampires, and they're done. They want to just take over and live their life and just kill and suck as much blood as they can. And they keep on throwing this innuendo like, oh, this human probably gives some good blood. Get it? You get it? Where they were going on that, giving some good blood. I'm not gonna say the insinuation that they were doing, but when you say, hey, so and so is giving good blood, I mean, you connect the two. But anyways, the script was really bad in this whole movie. And I get, now mind you, though the script was really dumb and bad, there was some of the acting was actually admirable, and they tried to carry it through, especially one of our leads, Blair. She's we think she's evil in the beginning, but she ends up, being a love interest of our main character. The actress, Debbie Ryan, she did a great job. I loved her performance in this movie, and it just goes to show you that you could be in a horrible movie but still give a great performance. Hats off to her. Now, it's not just her. There was also other actors that did a great job, but as far as the standout star for this movie, it definitely has to be Debbie, and my hat's off to her pulling through and acting the way she does. I thought she was adorable. I thought she was menacing. I thought whatever the role demanded of her, she did a really, really good job. The CGI was horrible. So, spoiler alert, our favorite Game of Thrones, um, let's just call him villain, hero at the end, Theon, is in this movie. And there's a scene where he gets shot in the head, kind of a la Deadpool. And the CGI was completely just done horribly. They try to darken it up, but you could tell that just looks super fake. Nothing like we saw in Deadpool. And then when he's escaping, one of the guys is escaping with our two female vampires, and he does this escape maneuver doing reverse, and it looks so fake. It looks faker than the video game, and I was like, oh my god. And then they use this. I don't know. I mean, I know JJ Abrams didn't direct this movie, but you couldn't tell that with how much they used the flare camera, because they used it way too much. For a second, I'm like, wait a minute, is JJ Abrams directing this? And of course, he wasn't. But and JJ Abrams is known for his lens flares in movies, but golly, that this movie tried to do that and tried to be like, hey, let's do the same with this movie. And it just took me off. Like, maybe because I've seen so many JJ Abrams movies that I was like, okay, they're trying to just rip it off. Now, in saying that Theon was in this movie, and for you non-Game of Thrones fans, it's Alfie Allen, the actor that plays Theon. Why he's doing these movies like this is beyond me. Now, he can't keep doing these movies. He's going to just get roles that are lesser and lesser. Now, if some of you guys are familiar with John Wick, he played a similar character to this character in that movie. Of course, he wasn't a vampire. He was just like this mobster gangster, but it fit in that movie. And he didn't have to carry it as being the villain, because we know that it was centered around our hero, John Wick. And there was a bigger bad, even though the ending to that fight scene was dumb. Even Theon's ending in that movie in John Wick was kind of dumb, but it didn't have to be great. It was more or less just seeing how dope John Wick was. So I don't know, maybe those Game of Thrones checks are really hefty, where he could say, fuck it, I'm going to do the movies that I want. But if this is his direction of saying, hey, I'm going to pick these kind of movies after coming down from a Game of Thrones type where anything is thrown at your feet, and you have the pick of the litter of what you can play, his choices are starting to like be a negative. Again, maybe he's not getting the work that he is. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh and he has to take these roles. Or maybe, like I said earlier, the checks are just that nice from Game of Thrones royalties that he could say, F it, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. But whatever it is, he needs to stop doing it. Or he needs to fire his agent and grab a new agent. I get it. Work is work. And in a pandemic world, hey, you take it where you can get it. But this was not it. It was way too similar to other roles. And he was hardly even in it. And he was only towards the end, like he lent his name, like like someone called in a favor, like say, hey, can you be in this movie? And to go on the opposite side of the quarter, we had Megan Fox in this movie. And I think this is her second movie that she's done for Netflix. Now, her role was super small in that she was one of the bosses in Boyle Heights vampirism. And she's in there and she looks amazing. She's a beautiful woman and she looks amazing as a vampire and stuff like that. But I could see why she would put herself out there or in these kind of roles, even though for her, I still don't like these roles. But given her history with Hollywood, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, the fact that she's trying to get back into a working slate, into being a leading lady in Hollywood, she has to take these movies to show that she's willing to be flexible, willing to work with different kind of directors, different kind of producers. So for her, I see it. What, did I like it? No, she looked great visually, aesthetically, she looked great. But like again, she's trying to get back into Hollywood. For For Alfie Allen, it's the opposite. This is not just like, hey, let me just do it because it's work and let me do it. It doesn't work for him. For Megan Fox, like I said, it works because she's trying to get back into the flow of things. But other than that, I thought some of the acting was great. The soundtrack was okay. Everything else was a miss. So for me, this movie was a D. I had it as a D plus, a D minus, but honestly, when I started just sitting there and I thought about it and I was just saying, as a whole, let me step back. I know I just watched it and I have a bad taste in my mouth, but let me just really realistically judge it. It was kind of beautifully shot as far as the colors, very Netflix-ish now, because they've done, especially with the Gunpowder Milkshake and a couple of other like movies where they use a lot of neon colors. It's very much in that repertoire. And maybe it's me. Maybe like the music of today, I just don't get it. Maybe the same things happen in the music. Maybe I'm not getting why this movie was made. This movie cost $21 million to make, representing Boyle Heights. This movie could have been done under like $5 million, and the rest of that could have been donated to Boyle Heights to help the like I said earlier in the beginning of this review, 61% of people in Boyle Heights live in extreme poverty. That is ridiculous. So I get that you're wanting to glorify and oh my God, Boyle Heights has a huge maybe population, a huge whatever, and you're trying to rep it. As far as he's not the Boyle Heights in New York. We're talking about the Boyle Heights in Los Angeles, 90022 or 23. And I get that, but this money could have been used better to just donating it into that community, as opposed to just exploiting it for the great artwork that it does has. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.